One. Hey, it's Max Anderson with Smith and Company Real Estate, and I have been doing a series of interviews with local folks who are involved in the real estate industry, trying to bring attention to things that are going on behind the scenes for those of you who are in the process of buying or selling or considering buying or selling real estate in our local area. And so I've been reaching out, and I've been very fortunate to have some really great interviews, and that's no exception to who I have today. With me is Mr. Bob Smith, and he is one of our local appraisers who is qualified or certified rather for several different programs. We'll talk about that and also talk about the added certification that he chose to take on his own because of the COVID-19 pandemic. You actually went on your own and got the certification. So I'm going to pass it to you, Bob. First and foremost, can you tell us what are you qualified for as far as doing appraisals? What type of appraisals do you do?
Okay, well, I'm a certified general appraiser, which allows me to do commercial work as well as work for VA, FHA, rural development, pretty much anything that people are typically looking to finance. We are qualified to do that type of inspection and that type of appraisal work.
Fantastic. And that wasn't always the case. Like there's a lot of different things that have changed, that you've gone from doing VAs to not doing them to coming back because of primarily paperwork, if you will. But you're back. You're full fledged. It sounds like you're doing all of them and now again.
Yes, we are, and
Okay.
it is an ever-changing process because what they request from the appraiser keeps changing depending on the needs of the market. And we try and stay up on that and keep ready to serve as needed.
Fantastic. Well, I know you've been extremely busy, with the interest rates dropping, and we were just talking before we went on air about them dropping again, which is just amazing to even anticipate that happening. So with the busyness comes some different rules and regulations because everything's changing. I think you said it was changing almost daily, for sure, in your line of work with the banks and the folks who govern the appraisals. So tell us a little bit about what changes you've seen in the last 7 days.
Well, initially when this all started, the banking industry said, well, appraisers are essential services, and they wanted us basically do exactly what we had been doing, walking through everyone's home, which usually takes a half or 45 minutes of me being in the home doing an inspection. And just in the last week or so, it has started changing rapidly with the state lockdown. They are now changing and modifying what the requirements are. VA does not require any walkthrough if it's an occupied home at all. We do an exterior walk around, pictures on the outside, measurements on the outside. We do not go in the residence. If it's a vacant home, then they still want us to do a walkthrough. FHA, for the most part, is following, and rural development is following the same scenario, where if it's an occupied home, we don't need to go in the house for the vast majority of cases. Now, for normal refinancing and cash out refis, they do still require a walkthrough. If you're just doing a standard refi, we can do an exterior. But if you are doing a cash out, or if it's a purchase for a standard Fannie or Freddie, they typically want the appraiser to go through. Now, what we have done is when I do an inspection, I gather information ahead of time from the homeowner on the phone, and we try and do what we call a no-touch walkthrough, where we have them leave the interior doors open and the lights on. I wear N95 mask and gloves, and I can go through the house basically just taking pictures in just a few minutes, and I don't need to touch any surfaces, and we walk back out. So there's very, very little impact and very little risk, both to me and to the homeowner, of communicating anything. And that's becoming more normal, and people are getting much more used to that scenario, and it's made people a lot more at ease, having understanding of what the appraiser's doing and how we're trying to do it safely.
Right. And I know, personally from an appraisal that you did for me, you started taking these precautions long before they were really mandated. You were kind of ahead of the curve, taking the extra certification, going to the houses with the mask and the gloves and doing the no touch. You kind of got ahead of that, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We looked at it and saw what potential was there because you can be, I tend to be a healthy person.
Mhm.
I could be communicating something and never know I had it. And
Right.
so to be proactive about that, we started taking these steps before they were mandated, just to be on the cautious side so that we're never ones that would be causing any issue. And the certification that I took is a 5-hour certification for inspectors, and it gave us safety precautions on how to do inspections when you must go in a residence, how to do it safely, so as not to expose you or the resident to any risk.
Fantastic. And kudos to you. And I wanted to make sure that we mentioned that you were ahead of the curve. So that being said, now that things are changing, what if you did an appraisal and there's a callback on that? I mean, can we maybe have some hiccups coming in the future because things are changing? Because I think what we talked about, the computers
Mhm.
who process the paperwork are not caught up to the rules and regulations that the humans are making. Is that kind of how you say it?
Yes, what we have seen is sometimes on a daily basis, something we were told or given a notice on 2 days ago, we'll get a new notice that contradicts what that said. And the banking industry deals with a lot of paperwork.
Mhm.
And so they're doing it exactly as they're told. But if every 2 or 3 days, the way they're told to do things changes, there are going to be little glitches and blips. So that's something right now to be expected until things kind of settle down. It's not anything that would stop any kind of financing transaction, but you might have just a little more back and forth paperwork.
Right. Which goes back to using a realtor and someone who is also staying in touch with all of the connecting dots to help process it. Because if you're on your own trying to figure this out, God love you. Because
So,
we're in the profession every day trying to figure it out, right? Um,
yes, absolutely.
so it is some challenges for those, but all good with the financing. I mean that those numbers coming down, going to open up the market to people who are selling, who want to buy up, maybe because the payments will be lower.
Mhm.
Correct. And then, of course,
Right.
qualifying, the government's going to want to see people buying real estate and moving it. So there'll be some more programs coming out, I think, to help
Oh,
homeowners. So
absolutely.
it'll be positive. So I know we talked a little bit about you're busy with the refis. Is there a precedence that takes place over refi versus a actual buy sell transaction, or does everything go in the pipeline the same?
We typically try and give higher priority to purchases because if you're refinancing on a home, you're just looking for that locked in lower rate. You don't care necessarily if it closes in a week or 3 weeks, as long as you know you're getting that lower rate. That's the point of the refinance in the first place. So those people don't tend to be as time critical, and whereas with a purchase, everyone, as you know, is nervous until the last of the paperwork is done. And so we do try and give those the higher priority as much as we can.
Yeah, and we certainly appreciate that. So, anything really that comes off the top of your head as we're chatting that we should really share with people who are considering buying and selling, a little priority of what they should be doing to be prepared for the appraiser?
I think the biggest thing is just to be aware of we're trying to do the no touch where we walk through the house. We'll typically, if people want to stay in the house, that's fine. We ask them to stay just in one room, and so we can talk to them if we must from a distance, and we're not going into rooms that everyone's in a room. And we typically keep conversation to a minimum, and we explain that in advance
Right.
so that we're not having as much face-to-face contact because we can do this over the phone,
Mhm.
and that keeps everyone safer. And honestly, what I've noticed is 2 weeks ago, people were very nervous about the appraiser coming through the house, but we've gotten a little better at explaining more thoroughly exactly what we need to do, and the bank's leniency allowing us to do abbreviated walkthroughs has made the people where we do have to come through a house a little more comfortable with the situation.
Right. And I've seen that firsthand myself with what's the anxiety versus, understanding knowledge. Just that's why we're doing these interviews, is just get the knowledge, education out there so people are more comfortable
Hmm.
understanding that it's a new normal. It just is. It is a new
Yes.
normal. So what's the expected turnaround time from the time you get an order from a lender to the point of, getting it to their time? Where are you at? I know you did quite a few last week, so there's no break for you.
It depends. I mean, for instance, we cover all of Chippewa, Mackinac, and Luce counties. So if it's in town in Sault Ste. Marie or near the Sioux, it's typically going to be faster than if I have to make a trip over to Drummond Island or up to Newberry or Nobbin, some of those areas, because the Tri-County area is almost 7,000 square miles.
Wow. Yeah.
And the banking industry, of course, wants the appraiser to be everywhere tomorrow.
Mhm.
And so yeah, we work on it. You're usually seeing a week to 2 weeks turn time right now, and there can be glitches in that, and we've seen a little more glitches with people wanting a specific day or time, and we try and work with people, but what that tends to do, for instance, if I have 2 inspections in Newberry, but the third one that's not a convenient day, I have to make a separate round trip to Newberry. That can slow down the timing a little bit. Uh, but in general, we try and keep it under 2 weeks.
Well, you definitely have kept to that. So, kudos to you in all these trying times. And you do take orders from local lenders as well as outside lenders. So
Yes,
you're getting calls all the time to take orders for appraisals, right?
yes, I've gotten actually, for instance, 3 people have called to have me do Mackinac Island so far this spring,
Oh, wow. Wow.
and
Wow.
that's a full day just for one inspection, typically right now.
I would not want to go there on this windy day. It would not be
Yeah,
my day of choice to go to the island.
true.
Oh, well, thank you for all you've done and your whole team, because now you definitely have a team helping you stay organized and heading out. So kudos to the gang. And uh,
Yes, I actually, Jerusha has been working for me for almost a year and a half now.
mhm.
She's training to be an appraiser, but it's a long process. And I think later this summer she will actually have enough experience that she can qualify for her appraiser's license.
Oh,
She
fantastic.
has an entry-level valuation specialist license now, but that's just kind of a trainee thing. But she's going to have her full-fledged license later this summer, and she's been helping very much behind the scenes. Until this, she'd been going with me for over a year on just about every inspection, learning how to do the inspections, what to look for, how to write things up thoroughly so that you have a good set of notes. So yeah, we've been very much using her, and that's also helped us get things processed. Even though there are a lot of orders coming in, it's helped us process things.
How many years you been doing this, Mr. Smith?
Uh, let's just say over 30.
A long time. You've seen a lot of changes. Probably nothing like this, though, eh?
When I started, appraisals were 5 pages long, and you had front, back, and street scene on a house, and that was it. And now they are typically 25 to 30 pages long, and they want them done faster.
Way of the world.
Yes,
The way of the world. Well, I appreciate you taking time out. I kind of bothered you. I've been bugging you about this for about a week. So thank you so
sure,
much. Your information is valuable. And again, just taking time to do these interviews to share knowledge with the general public on, just what's going on behind the scenes in real estate.
sure.
So thank you so much. And with that, if you don't have anything else to say, I appreciate you and all that you do.
I think we're good. I will get back to work.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Thank you.
Bob. Okay,
Mhm.
bye.
Bye.